Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's NAA iSeries webinar. I am Cora Cameron with the National Auctioneers Association, and I would like to thank you for joining us for today's newest iSeries installment. Through iSeries, the NAA shares free auction industry insights with NAA members and the general public. As the world's largest association dedicated to auction professionals, the NAA educates and represents the interests of thousands of auction professionals worldwide. Today's session on traditional versus today will be presented by John Nicholls, and this session is called Navigating the Fast-Paced and Ever-Changing World of Automobile Auctions. John S. Nicholls is president of Nicholls Auction Marketing Group and oversees all day-to-day operations of the company. A second-generation auctioneer, John earned bachelor's and master's degrees, and in 1990 graduated from the Worldwide College of Auctioneering in Mason City, Iowa. He is currently one of the school's featured instructors. John conducts more than 250 automobile auctions and more than 100 real estate auctions each year. Under John's leadership, Nicholls Auction was named Business of the Year by the Fredericksburg Regional Chamber of Commerce. John is an active member and past president of the National Auctioneers Association and holds the NAA designations CAI, AARE, and ATS. John also is a past president and chairman of the board of Virginia Auctioneers Association and has been a featured speaker at many state auctioneer associations throughout the country. He has had the honor to represent the auction profession on the Today Show, at the National Association of Realtors Convention, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, multiple news publications, and on a real estate auction consulting trip to South Africa. Some of John's honors include 1994 Virginia State Auctioneer Champion, 2003 Virginia Auctioneer of the Year, 2003 World Automobile Auctioneer Champion, 2006 NEA Men's Division Champion of the International Auctioneer Championship, 2015 National Auto Auction Association's Bernie Hart Memorial Auctioneer of the Year Award, 2016 Virginia Auctioneers Association Hall of Fame inductee, and the Worldwide College of Auctioneering Hall of Fame. Throughout this presentation, please note that you may take part in the conversation. Type and submit your questions at any time, and we will get to as many of them as we can during our brief Q&A period. After that, we will ask you to please take part in a very short 3-minute question poll. And with that, John, thank you and welcome.
Thank you so much, everyone. Welcome to you, and good afternoon. Appreciate the opportunity to be here, and thanks to the NAA for asking me to speak on this topic. As was just mentioned, we do sell a lot of real estate, and that is our main focus of our business. However, I still do 5 automobile auctions a week, and I'm still very involved in the automobile industry for the last 29 years. Grew up in the industry. My dad's been in the industry and still is for 51 years. So I come from a place of I think of really understanding what's going on in this industry right now, how quick it's changing, how much it's changing, to the degree that it's going to affect auctioneers, bid assistants, ring people, if you will, throughout the country. I also have been asked by the largest automobile auction company in the world, Manheim Auctions, to be a part of a automobile auctioneer advisory board. There's 6 of us that we travel to Atlanta to their corporate headquarters twice a year, and we discuss pressing issues that are going on right now in the automobile auction industry, as well as our concerns. And it's a great dialogue. We meet with the president on down and a lot of the leaders in the Manheim system. So what I'm telling you, some of it's going to be opinion, but most of it is going to be cold hard facts. So without further delay, and again, I appreciate your time, I'll take up about the next 13 or 14 minutes, and then hopefully you all do have some questions, and I'll be happy to address those. I just tried to advance my slide deck, and it worked in our audition, our practice session, I should say. But for whatever reason, it's not working now. But I do want to let you know that from the National Automobile Auction Association, there are over 300 plus international and domestic automobile auctions out there right now. Now, those are just those that are members of the National Automobile Auction Association. On average, the automobile auction that you see out there right now consists of 7 lanes on 70 plus or minus acres. There again, whether or not the particular auction that you may be involved in or that you are looking at being involved in has 7 lanes or 70 plus or minus acres, that's just the national average. Again, right now, and it is it is the highest grossing revenue in the auction industry right now, selling in excess of $90 billion annually. So a large sector of the auction industry is automobiles. I do want to talk a little bit about the evolution of the auction industry, of the business model, if you will. It has changed more in the last 5 years than it did in the first 50. It has absolutely been on a record pace as far as change is concerned. And that has to do a lot with technology, and that has to do a lot with wanting to do things in a more efficient, safe manner. The big thing in the automobile auction industry right now is safety. Safety is a huge initiative. It's an important initiative, and it's an initiative that is going to change the way that the traditional auto auction model is and has been run for many years. Traditionally, if you are familiar with the industry at all, automobiles ran through a building in a lane format, in a lane fashion, and you had auctioneers on the auction block, if you will, elevated above the lane, and then you would have ring people down in the lane, again, turning in bids to the auctioneer, as well as communicating with the buyers, as well as facilitating getting the automobiles in and out of the building. Because there have been some safety issues across the board, and not just on auction day. We hear about the ones, unfortunately, where the tragedies take place, where folks get killed, and it is obviously tragic when there's any loss of life. But so many of these accidents, so many of these hospital reports happen on non-auction days. One of the larger companies, was averaging just crazy numbers, literally thousands of employees across the country being taken to the hospital on a yearly basis due to potentially pushing a car, slipping, busting your chin on a bumper, or having your foot run over by a car, or just scads of different types of accidents. It's obviously tragic, as I said, when you have a loss of life, but when you have 2,000-pound plus machines that are extremely powerful, that have a lot of horsepower, and you have bodies that are easily broken, and they are coming through these lanes, accidents are going to happen. And the big initiative right now is safety. How do we keep that from happening? How do we keep the automobile auction industry from getting a black eye? And the way that they're going to do it is, well, they've done many things. Most of your automobile auctioneers and ringmen, as well as the staff, has to wear safety vests now. There is barriers being put up to where you can and can't walk. There are barriers being put up to where automobiles cannot potentially get to the individuals. There is all kinds of initiatives that they're putting out to try to make the industry safer. However, it will never be foolproof. It will never be foolproof until the automobiles stop moving. And I do know Manheim recently took a 4-lane auction in Arizona and turned it into an entire digital environment. Whereas everything you see is on screens, there are automobile auctioneers on the block, and the cars are not run through the building. So you're seeing pictures on the screen the entire time. You're seeing the run number of the car the entire time. You have all the announcements. If a seller wants to get on the block, he or she can, but you do not have automobiles running through the building. I sell another auction for another company that does the same thing. The automobiles do not run through the building. There are pros and there are cons as far as somebody who is a purist, if you will, but I do understand also as a business owner from their perspective as far as the safety issue. You will not take away any types of the potential of accidents until you stop running the cars through the building. I'm not telling you there again as a purist that I want this. I'm just giving you facts. I do think what is eventually going to happen is I believe that you will see a situation to where you'll have a lot of your commercial accounts not running their cars through the building. You'll have a lot of your dealer accounts asking to have their cars run through the building until one of the main car auction companies says, all right, this is it. We're not moving cars anymore. But the safety initiative is huge right now. It's very big. It's getting a lot of press, and it is a challenge that has to be dealt with. The ring people are coming into play in a crucial matter right here. And I've already had a question about tell me about how the ring people are going to keep their jobs in this digital environment. And I get it. I understand it. We are advocating on your behalf. I promise you that. Obviously, right now, you're a major role. You're an extension of the auctioneer. You're our right arm, and you're dealing with the customers, but you're also playing a big role as far as safety is concerned, making sure nobody gets in harm's way. And across the board, you men and women are doing a wonderful job doing that. And I understand your fear that if we go all to a digital environment, how do you keep your job? Well, what I am doing and what me and some other auctioneers who are meeting with this with folks are doing is we are advocating that the ringmen are not just traffic cops. That is one part of their job, but they are not just there to ensure safety. They are there as an extension of the auctioneer. They are our teammate. They are our right arm. They are putting deals together that we would not be able to put together without them. They are informing bidders. They are keeping bidders in the know. They are answering questions. More importantly, they are ambassadors, just as the auctioneers are for the auction company they're working for. They are so important, so critical to what we do. And for any ringman or potential ring person that is listening, you have my word that we are advocating greatly on your behalf. We know what you do. We appreciate what you do. So in addition, as far as evolution of the business model with the safety initiatives are concerned, they are pushing to more out of the lane buying. You will see physical attendance has dropped at the automobile auctions greatly. Numbers of cars have dropped greatly. Why is that? Volume has dropped because many cars are being sold outside of the lanes. The automobile auctions are still getting the profits. They're still getting the money from the buy fee, sell fee, etc. But they are not running through the physical lanes. They are buying them outside of the auction block. Also, you are seeing physical attendance come down because so many people are bidding online. We're selling them live in the lane, and it is not unusual for me to have 10 to 15, 20 people in the lane, but I look up and I've got 100 people or more online. It is enhancing what they're doing as far as sales are concerned, and it is really, really something that is not going away and has become an integral part of the business. But in addition to online live bidding, they are also having a lot of situations, the automobile auctions are, where you can take your mobile phone and, as I said, buy these automobiles before they ever run through the building. So therefore, volume is decreasing. Well, when volume decreases, lanes close. When lanes close, auctioneers and ringmen potentially are out of work. So I do not see an increase in volume in the automobile auctions. I see a decrease or a flattening out of volume in the live automobile auctions, simply because of technology, because of the push toward out of lane buying. I think there'll always be bricks and mortar buildings. I think there'll always be a need for live cry auctioneers and ring people. I think there'll always be a need for that. However, I think that need is going to be greatly lessened than it has been before there was an internet, before there was the technology to buy, sell these automobiles outside of a physical auction facility, as far as them running through the lanes. And again, that goes also hand in hand with the safety initiative. Um, so out of lane buying, big deal, and you're not going to see it. You're not going to see it go away. One of the other things that are happening right now is auctions, large major auctions, whether they are big corporate conglomerates or they're independent auctions. They are looking to overcome uh, the, or I shouldn't say overcome, I should say figure out how to work hand in hand with the rideshare industry, how to overcome the autonomous cars, how to, let's face it, in some of your major cities right now, Washington, D.C., New York City, Chicago, Miami, L.A., etc., a lot of these people do not own cars anymore. They are relying on public transportation. They are relying on uh, rideshare. So it costs a fortune to park, and we really don't need it. So what does that do? That makes less cars are in the marketplace. Less cars are in the marketplace means less cars are in the auto auction environment. So how do we take advantage of that as automobile auctions? And a lot of what they're doing is they are trying to service the fleet sector. They're trying to service the autonomous car sector. They're trying to service the rideshare sector, the Ubers, the Lyfts, etc. So there again, if we can service these fleets, if these automobile auctions can service these fleets, we will potentially have an opportunity to sell them when they are no longer needed in their fleet. So that's a huge initiative that's coming out right now as well. In closing, those are some of the hot spots that are going on in the industry. And are there opportunities out there? You say, John, man, this is I tuned into this webinar to be encouraged on how to get into the automobile auction industry. I will tell you this. I'm not trying to discourage you. I just am here to present the facts to you. And I have people literally that reach out to me on a weekly basis. How do I get into the automobile auction industry? Is it something that you would recommend me doing? And I think, and this is John's opinion now, I think there will always, as I said, be a need for live bid calling auctioneers, especially quality live bid calling auctioneers. I think there will always be a need for live quality ring people. And I say quality, I mean folks that are going to stand out, men and women who, when they get their opportunity, they are head and shoulders above the rest. I do not think going forward, with lanes decreasing, with volume decreasing, with the opportunity to do business outside of the live auction process in the lane, I do not think average is going to cut it. I do not think that just getting by or just showing up for a paycheck or just not excelling is going to cut it. I think the cream of the crop. I think your most talented, most desirable, most absolute go-getting auctioneers and ringmen are going to have employment. And there's going to be some auctions that it's territorial, it's different. Some auctions have general managers who hire and fire. Some auctions have lead auctioneers who work with the managerial team that hire and fire, that bring people in as needed. So how do you get involved in that? You find out the way to get in to that automobile auction. You find out the road. And if it's through a lead auctioneer, you go through them. If it's through the general manager, you go through him or her. If it's through somebody that you know working at the auction and you want to go to them and say, hey, I'd really like an opportunity. Can you speak to someone on my behalf? Um, my point is, you want to go through the proper channels. You do not want to go rogue and go in there and not know what's going on and come in like the Lone Ranger or an outlaw. Because if you get in there, you are not going to be well liked. If you get in there, you are not going to be well received by your auctioneer and ringman crew. And so, let's talk real world here. John, how much should I ask to get paid? How much should I expect to get paid? There again, go through your lead auctioneer, go through veteran auctioneers or ringmen that work in that facility, and let them lead you. Do not go in there and say, whatever they're working for, I'll work for less. You're cutting yourself short. It's not professional. And if you get in there, you are not going to be their favorite person. Be a team, be a team member, be a good teammate. If you want longevity in this business, one of my favorite sayings is if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. This is a very small world we live in as far as the automobile auction industry. Word travels fast. Yes, you may get one job, but that may be the only job you get. Be a good teammate, be a good person, be a good business person, be ethical, be honest, be moral, be upright, and you'll never not be successful. My motto in business is work hard and be kind. And if you work hard and be kind in this automobile auction industry, whether you're on the block or you're a ring person, you will always have an opportunity to get work. I think I've come to the end of my time before these ladies cut me off. And so I would be happy to entertain any questions if you all have any. If you could just text them in to the ladies, they will verbally relay them to me.
John, thank you so much. We will now
Yes,
open
ma'am.
the floor for questions. If you've not done so already, please submit your question and we will get to as many of them as possible. John, our first question is, what trends do you see in the auto auction industry and what should we expect from the future?
I think a lot of that was answered in my presentation as far as trends. I think there's a huge safety trend. I think there is a huge trend in outside of the lane selling. I think there is a huge trend in um, absolutely keeping their name out of the newspapers and out of the media as accidents happening in their facility. The safety issue, I just can't overstated enough, is huge. As far as trends, I addressed that in the last portion of my seminar, of my webinar, and that is there's opportunity. It's lessened. The opportunities have lessened. However, opportunities are still there. Work hard, be kind, keep a good attitude, and understand when you get your shot, you get one chance to make a first impression. Be ready, be prepared, absolutely be professional off the block and on the block.
All right. And our second question is, what tech components are making safety better?
What tech components are making safety better? One of the things that is being toyed with right now is actually a GPS that will be hung or mounted, if you will, in an automobile when it comes on property to where they know where that car is at all times. So it only moves once. And that's when the car comes on property. It gets put in a spot, it stays there, and with the GPS technology, they'll be able to always know where that car is. They'll be able to pull it up anytime they want to. Uh, as far as other technologies that are allowing more safety, basically it's a human being deal. It's like I said with the ring people. I can't overstate it enough. They are huge in this environment and this safety initiative that's right now. These ring people are absolutely doing a yeoman's job. They are making sure people do not get killed. They are making sure people do not get maimed, and they are doing an incredible job as far as watching out for people's best interest. But it is a human element. It's really not a technology development because you have a human being behind the wheel of an automobile that can hurt someone. So what do? We have to, as human beings, watch out for each other. And so we can try to keep them out of harm's way with barriers. We can try to keep them out of harm's way with signage, with safety vests and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, so many times it comes down to human on human interaction.
Okay, everyone. Well, that concludes the Q&A portion of today's event. Thank you to all who submitted questions, and we apologize if we did not get to yours. It is now time for you to give us your feedback on today's session. Please see the poll on your screen and answer the questions as they appear. We will move fairly quickly, so please answer as swiftly as you are able. First question, on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest score and 1 being the lowest, how would you rate today's iSeries presentation? Second question, on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being very likely and 1 being not at all, how likely are you to recommend iSeries to a friend? And number 3, let us know if you would like to learn more about the AARE designation. Thank you for taking part in the survey. Before we end today's session, we do have some updated information on upcoming NAA events. Designation Academy is quickly approaching this December 1st through the 7th in Las Vegas. Alongside our highly successful designation courses like Contract Auction Specialist, this year's Academy features a new class on effective auction selling. For more information, visit auctioneers.org/designation academy. As we close, you'll receive a link to today's session emailed by the end of this week. In addition, current NAA members can log in and access iSeries archives at auctioneers.org/iSeries. Your next iSeries webinar will be Wednesday, December 4th at 2 p.m. Central Time and will cover online auction marketing. Please be sure to tell your friends. We will send specific information on that in the near future. Thank you again to John for sharing his insight today, and thanks to all of you for taking part in NAA's iSeries. That concludes today's webinar. Have a great day.